The group stage is over, and it just told us everything we need to know about who's actually winning this World Cup and who's about to get exposed. Let's start with what happened today, because three stories dropped in the last few hours that, when you put them together, paint a picture that should genuinely worry two of the biggest fan bases on the planet. First, Lionel Messi. 39 years old, 18 World Cup goals, the greatest scorer in the history of this tournament. And today, his coach sat him on the bench. Not because he's injured, not because he's struggling, because Argentina have already won their group and Scaloni doesn't need to show anyone anything yet. Messi came on as a substitute against Jordan, and Argentina are now locked in for their round of 32 clash against Cape Verde on July 3rd, the smallest nation to ever reach the knockout stage of a World Cup, a fairy tale run that the whole world has been celebrating. And their reward is Lionel Messi, rested, refreshed, and angry. Second story, Cristiano Ronaldo, 41 years old. Portugal just drew 0-0 with Colombia. Ronaldo started again. He started every single group game, and Colombia, who dominated that match with 24 shots to Portugal's 13, finished top of the group. Portugal go into the knockouts in second place, facing Croatia on July 2nd. And the debate about whether Ronaldo should even be starting has now gone from a quiet conversation among analysts to Thierry Henry and Paul Scholes saying it out loud on television. 29 touches against Congo DR, not a single shot on target. Henry said it on camera. The team needs to score, not just Ronaldo. Scholes said a 41-year-old only belongs in one starting position, and it's in goal. And Martinez, he started him again today anyway. Third story, England. They beat Panama 2-0 a few hours ago. Jude Bellingham scored, Harry Kane headed in a Bellingham cross to become England's all-time leading World Cup scorer with 11 goals. Job done, group winners. And yet, and I cannot stress this enough, England were awful for 60 minutes. Panama nearly pushed them into second place. Croatia were winning their game at the same time, which would have meant England dropping down the bracket into a collision course with Portugal and Spain. They avoided it barely. And then Jarell Quansah came off injured in the 63rd minute. James is already out. England's defensive depth is being eaten alive before the knockout stage has even started. Here's what I think is actually happening with all three of these situations. With Messi, Argentina are doing something very deliberate. They are rationing him. Scaloni has built this entire squad around protecting Messi's legs for the knockout stage. The bench decision today wasn't a rotation, it was a statement. We don't need to show you our ceiling yet. And the fact that Messi still leads the Golden Boot with 5 goals, despite playing conservatively, despite coming off the bench in the final group game, despite being 39 years old with a hamstring history, that is genuinely frightening for every team left in this tournament. Cape Verde are a wonderful story, a nation of 500,000 people reaching the last 32 of the biggest sporting event on Earth. But their goalkeeper, Vozinha, who stopped Spain cold in the group stage, has never faced anything like a fully locked-in Messi in a knockout match. Nobody handles that well. With Ronaldo, the situation is the opposite of controlled. Portugal have an elite squad, arguably the best midfield at this tournament. Bruno Fernandes pulling strings, Bernardo Silva dictating play, João Neves controlling tempo, and right in the middle of all that quality, they have a 41-year-old striker who had 29 touches in one of their group games and who hasn't scored in 10 consecutive games at major tournaments entering this one. Martinez benched him at moments in 2022. Fernando Santos actually dropped him for the knockouts in Qatar. Portugal went further when Ronaldo wasn't starting. That is not a coincidence, it is a pattern. And Croatia in the round of 32 are not a soft touch. They reached the final in 2018. They finished third in 2022. Modric is still on that pitch. If Ronaldo starts and goes quiet, which is the evidence of this entire group stage suggests will happen, Croatia will punish Portugal on the counter, and it won't be a surprise to anyone. And England, I want to be fair here. Bellingham is a generational talent, and when he turns it on, England look genuinely dangerous. The Kane record is real, the group win is real. But let's be honest about what we watched for the first hour against Panama. a team ranked in the top 5 in the world against a side that has now finished the group stage as the only team of 48 not to score a single goal. And England were still being pushed around. The defensive injuries are compounding. Quansah off today, James is already gone. Tuchel's backline is being assembled from spare parts, and the knockout stage hasn't even kicked off yet. DR Congo or Senegal, likely opponents next, are not Panama. They press, they transition fast, and they will find the spaces behind an England defense that is already stretched. Now, here's what connects all three of these. It's about what the knockout stage does that the group stage doesn't. In the group stage, you can hide, you can rotate, you can survive a bad 60 minutes. The knockout stage removes all of that. One game, one result, no margin. And right now, Argentina look like a team that has been saving their best for exactly this moment. France looks similarly frightening. 10 goals in 3 group games. Dembélé and Mbappe both on 4 goals, and a bracket that opens up beautifully toward the final. England and Portugal are on the other side of that equation. Both carry a structural flaw into the knockout rounds. Both are pretending that flaw doesn't exist. Here's my prediction. By the quarterfinals, this tournament has 2 stories running simultaneously. The first story is Messi's Golden Boot race. He adds at minimum 2 goals in the knockout stage, probably against Cape Verde, possibly again in the round of 16. And by the time the quarterfinals arrive, the gap between him and Mbappe, Dembélé, and Haaland is too large to close. He wins the Golden Boot, he almost certainly wins the Golden Ball. And Argentina, who have been quietly, methodically, ruthlessly managing him towards this moment, are in the semifinal. The other story is the one nobody wants to say out loud yet. Ronaldo starts against Croatia. Portugal fall behind. Martinez brings him off before 70 minutes. Portugal either equalize through their actual best players or they go out. Either way, the Ronaldo era at the World Cup ends not with a goal, not with a trophy, but with a substitution. And if that happens, it's not a tragedy. It's been written into the wall for 4 years. And England, they get through the round of 32. Bellingham scores, the nation exhales, and then the injury list gets one name longer and the real conversation begins. The scenario that proves me wrong on all of this is Ronaldo scores in the first 30 minutes against Croatia. Does it once and the entire narrative collapses for another week. It's happened before. But the evidence from this group stage says it won't. Tell me in the comments, does Ronaldo start against Croatia, and does it cost Portugal? Because I think we already know the answer. Watch July 2nd closely. That match tells you everything about what the rest of this World Cup looks like.